Good evening, friends. Welcome to another episode of Global Women in Leadership. Council for the Promotion of International Trade, GCPIT, has started this global conversation series with women achievers and leaders to understand their journey, to learn from their experiences, and also to pave the way for more women leaders to join the wagon to create a sustainable change in the society in terms of gender equality, diversity, and inclusion. We have a very special guest with us today to talk about her leadership journey. In her current work as Director ADC, Telangana State DCW, she is working with the first, second, and third year degree students on their entrepreneurial ideas. Working with students largely from marginalized communities, from 30 social welfare residents, degree colleges across Telangana, she is partnering with government, NGOs, like-minded individuals, and organizations to set up business enterprises by young women while they are in college. Her education, skills, work experience, corporate network, her passion to work with women to make them financially independent is now culminating in her current activities. Her academic qualifications include MSW, Masters in Social Work, Bachelor's degree in Law, and has been associated with NHRD Hyderabad chapter as life member and a secretary in 2000. She is selected as National President by Confederation of Women Entrepreneurs of India for 2016-17, an NGO working on women empowerment. She is an executive committee member on Hyderabad Management Association at present. She is a fellow Institute of Director, International Body on Corporate Governance, and nominated by Government of India as the first woman independent director on the board of National Small Industries Corporation Limited, a public sector enterprise of MSME. Ms. Geeta is one of the few professionals worked since year 2000 on prevention of sexual harassment of women at workplaces under the Vishakha guidelines directed by Supreme Court much before the act was passed in 2013. She is nominated as Joint Secretary on the Women Forum of Hyderabad City Security Council, a society constituted under the aegis of Commissionerate of Hyderabad Police, supporting community-level women on addressing domestic violence and child abuse. She has taken topics of contention with grit and ease to promote harmony at workplace. She is a speaker at various public events and electronic media. She is now one of GCPIT's 100 chosen global women leaders and also the winner of Global Women in Business Awards 2021. Let me proudly welcome Ms. Geeta Goti to the show. Welcome, Ms. Geeta.
Thank you, Aparna. It's a pleasure to be here today. Thank you.
We are really proud. I saw your profile. It's an amazing profile, and we are really proud to have you with us on the show. And let's start talking with your journey. How did all this start? You have been into a lot of leadership positions, and you have won a lot of accolades. How did this start?
Yeah, this start was like any other, postgraduate student looking for a job. I was placed campus placement to UNICEF, which was a program run by UNICEF and the municipal corporation. So I chose to be in a tribal area those days. Nalgonda is a very backward state, district in the state of combined AP. So I chose a place called Miryalguda. So I was a grassroots worker, community organizer. That was my designation. So my job was to organize communities to take up the government scheme. That was my first job, and so that was something which I wanted to do. I chose, but then in the survival mode, I had to move on from an NGO to a corporate in a later life. So that's the start. I started from grassroots, I would say.
Okay, so when you started initially, did you face any resistance from people or men especially? Since
huge at home front as well as in the workplace. In fact, working women in those days were not very much looked down. We were, very unfortunately, but we were looked at as somebody who in that municipality, which was a very thriving municipality in those days. Yeah, but then later on it changed. I have seen that transition, where women were looked at. If women were working, they were looked at as if somebody who can't take a living otherwise. That's why they came for work. and they're coming from family where they can't be fending for themselves, or that was the general image. Though at that time we had women collectors, we had district magistrates who were women, but still, by and large, this was in late 80s, I'm talking about 88, 89. So in the government service, still people were respected because it's a government job. So it was looked up as, you are from a government job. But by and large, the impression was, even my own relatives, when they looked at me, they looked at with a lot of sympathy that, oh, you're going to work. It was never looked at as, dignity, that you are learned and you're going to work and you made a choice to go to work.
I think it really would have been a tough time, right, in the initial days. I'm
Yeah,
sure
it was.
many women still face the same issue, maybe from the family front or outside. So, what suggestion would you give? How do you handle this type of stress or tough situations?
Yeah, so I think it was a passion which kept me growing, going. I never bothered about all these things, though that was the kind of environment I was in. In fact, the kind of family where I was married to also had a lot of women in the house, but nobody was educated to work outside. But they were contributing to the family, I would say. So it was a tough call. So you have to prove yourself at home. It was a joint family, so I had to prove myself at home that I'm equal to everybody. So I get up early and do all my chores. I mean, there's always what you call assembly line kind of work. This is your work, and then it goes to somebody else. So I would do my part, then quickly move on to my work, and then come back again. I do my part, then retire for the day. So it was double shift for me.
Yeah, I think at that time we had a
But
joint.
still,
I think it
though
was
you
right.
try to fit in and still do so much, but still you will be pointed out saying that you don't know these kind of things because you are educated, you are going out, you are behaving like a man. It's all perceptions, I would say, but I would just rub it off. I mean, it didn't affect me so much, but some people I know it affected a lot.
Right, behaving like a man is something we always hear, and actually, we are forced to behave like men outside, right? So, how do you handle the female part? We have something inside, right? How do you handle that part?
So that was not acknowledged, Aparna. Even if you show femininity or even if you show motherhood, it was not acknowledged, even in spite of people seeing you. So you have to do immense sacrifices, is what I heard people talking to me. So you had men against you, you had women against you. So where do you go? So you be yourself, and that's what I did. I just
Yeah,
be myself,
exactly.
and I managed. It was not a easy thing.
Yes, exactly. That's what I also wanted to hear. Be yourself. That is something
And
every
people, after some time, people labeled you, they name you. um, there are certain conversations which happen around you. Still, I became strong because of all that, I would say.
right. When we are talking about resistance, have you faced resistance from men? Anything significant to remember? And how
At
did you
work,
handle that?
yes. Yeah, one is home front I was referring to. At work, I felt both men were very cooperative and uh, acknowledging, welcoming women to work is one part I have seen, especially the senior men in the leadership rank. I have seen that because of their guidance, I think I am here today. But there were always a peer level, rivalries. It's just like, who is the smartest. So those games were always there. So coming from studying psychology, studying the culture and all these things, and being in a joint family and understanding the group dynamics, somehow I was always away from that. At least I had a shield kind of a thing where I was non-threatening. That was probably what kept me going in that kind of a scenario. But there were harassment. I wouldn't say huge word harassment, but I've seen other women also, going through this, and I would support them. I would say that let's go and complain. This is not something we should, bear for a longer time. And all this. So I was always on little activist kind of a person where people would come and talk to me just to provoke me to talk about. I knew that is the game many women play. They don't want to go and complain, but they would love somebody else complaining. So
Yes, I totally understand. And how did you? I read that you have been working for POSH, right? Prevention
yeah,
of harassment. So, how did you get into that? How were you? I
yeah.
started
So
long before
yeah, very, very.
that came in.
Yeah, in fact, when I was always having a line of social, I mean, NGO kind of a work because I come from that background. I had my friends running NGOs, and there were some women activists working on feminist ideology. I used to write also in some of these magazines. So I always had my some part of my life working with them. It's a voluntary work. I never charged or anything. So I knew when Babri Devi's case was on in '92. So I was working in a organization which was a medical research and hospital at that time, and I knew how the nurses were facing problems there. So there were elections, and then I stood for that election, and I became the ladies' representative. A very small, minuscule post in the entire, executive committee, but still. So that actually brought me closer to the kind of problems women were facing, and that was around the same time when Babri Devi's case became famous, and Vishaka guidelines came. Almost 5 6 years later, Vishaka guidelines came in. So I took it on me to study them thoroughly. And when I started working, I was working in a bank. By that time, I was so thorough that when the guidelines were stipulated for all the organizations to be abided by, and most of the banks, public sector banks, have immediately had to incorporate an internal committee. They have to have a representation from an NGO, and somebody, some senior lady, had to take in, and someone who's approachable. So I think I was at a sweet spot at that time when I was working in a bank, and my name was referred. And it was referred only when there was a case. So again, only when the case comes, then suddenly, everybody starts looking into what is the act, and should we have an internal committee? Who is the right person? They also look for a person who is balanced, who is not, someone who is contradictory to the management. So somewhere I fell into that spot. And so this was a very senior person in that organization who was accused, and the entire investigation happened, and I had to submit a report to the National Commission for Women. At that time, we had Mrs. Mohini was there, Mohini Giri. She was the National Commission for Women chairperson at that time, so I had to write to her. And then I even went around with other banks asking them, how are you guys doing it and all. But I got real, shocker saying that everybody said we have it on the paper and it is filed. So I felt I was lucky to at least practice it. So that was my
Exactly.
first case, and there was no looking back.
I was about to ask that. See how many organizations have it. As you said, it is just in paper, and many
Yeah,
of the times women are scared to file it.
exactly. In fact, this case
So,
which I dealt, my first case, was not filed by the survivor. It was filed by her husband.
okay. So, how important it is to create awareness, or how important it is to have a
Yeah, very important. Even today, Aparna, there are many organizations. It is still on paper and filed. I have seen people taking my name as an internal committee, as an NGO representative, never called for a meeting. I would call them and say, look, you have taken my name as an external counsel, so you haven't even done the minimum necessary things. So don't take my name. I wrote to few corporates saying that I'm not here for a namesake. I'm sure they would have taken somebody else's name and put it, but then nothing happened in those corporates. We still needs to create a vigilance around it, which is very sad.
right. I always think of how to create awareness in women about this act, or what are
Yeah.
their rights. So, what do you think is the right way to create awareness in women? Because many of them, I don't think they are aware of post actors also, right?
Yeah. So one is you're looking at an institute to do this, mandatory meetings and having an internal committee, but there are no takers. So I think women at education level only, either in schools, colleges, they should be given in such a continuously told about these laws, because I don't want the girl to forget that she has
aiming at with this global conversation series is bringing out more women leaders. Okay, so when women are coming into leadership, they have to face all these issues. So most of the time, I have seen that they back off. So, what
yeah.
as a female leader, what are the what is the advice you would like to give to the female? You would like to give to the future leaders?
Yeah, so a lot of times I hear people saying that it never happened with me, or I know somebody had this problem. Instead of saying that, what if I was there? What if it happened with me? If you put that question, then you will start, introspecting. How will I deal with it? Will not wait for a day when it will happen and you are in a shock and you don't know how to deal it. Afterwards you go into a depression. So if at all it happened with me, what I would have done is a thought process we need to change in women. Second thing, if it is happening to somebody today, tomorrow it would happen to me, is another thing. You have to be present to what is happening around you. People can't be saying that, I, because I come from that background, it will not happen to me. It's so hilarious that sometimes I hear corporate women, when we get into a discussion about women working, very highly educated and good salaried people, when we talk about domestic violence and say you become a role model if you can counsel somebody and all that, they'll all say my housemaid had a problem. I said, okay. And that means, again, at some place you are saying these problems don't occur to me at my level, my class. It will occur only to people who are at a lower class. That again is a myth. You may be not facing it, but somebody at your level might be facing it. By saying this, you are actually shutting that person coming to you and talking about it. That means is then no longer will be a bystanders. We will be a part of that. And more people talking about it, like the Me Too movement, the way it has surged up, and then we know what is happening now. So, and also one thing I have seen, the masses, whenever they come with a problem and they find a solution, the classes accept it. Very, very
Exactly.
sadly, you see Bauri Devi's case, she had to fight almost 8 years, and we got an act. We got at least the guidelines at that time. Now, a Nirbhaya had to happen, then we got an act. Why? So something has to happen, then we get it.
Right.
So
Exactly.
I want everybody to think like that. We can't be bystander.
Yes, this is such a powerful topic. That's why I'm continuing on that.
Thank you.
What do you think women can do? Like most of the times, I have seen that when something happens to us, women don't support us, right? So, what can we do to create awareness that women have to support if women empowerment has to happen? I believe that only when women support other women, empowerment, real empowerment can happen. So, how can we create awareness in women that we have to support others when they see something happening to another girl or another woman?
Exactly. So when do we look for laws and sections in the whatever the penal code or whatever it? Only when we have a problem. How many of us know what are the divorce laws in India? I'm not saying it's a general knowledge you should get it. I'm saying that as a woman you should be aware about it. What is the divorce laws? What is the separation laws? Or at least what is the adoption laws? Certain things we need to know as women. Same way, safety related, security related, financial related. Not many of us are giving thought into this. This is some specialist work, we think. Even if you are going to file a case on somebody and you go to a police station, what are the things you need to know before going to a police station? At the police station, what are the things you should know before you put out your complaint or anything? What is your right? Okay, not only crime related or offense related, but even health related. As a patient, if you are going to a doctor, what is your right as a patient? What information you need to know? We always walk into these places with a vulnerability, okay, with feeling that we are already a victim. When you walk into a place thinking that you're a victim, you are a victim. You're not going with awareness.
Exactly.
Health,
Look for we most of the time we look for support as well.
yeah, so support is there, but how many of us know which support to go, where to go, when to go? Only when the problem comes, we start thinking about it. So I think as a woman, you need to have certain knowledge about, awareness about it. I just want to say that, at least know the rights around you. What is it? Your health, okay, your properties, your financials. You should know what it is. You can still go to a chartered accountant, you can still go to a doctor, you can still go to a police officer, but still you need to know. And there are a lot of literature around us. Nobody even debates about certain topics. Patients' rights. I don't even hear anybody talking about it. So much of COVID happened, and the future is with COVID we have to live. But still, nobody talks about patient. What is the right of a patient? Anyway, that's health activism I'm talking about. But
Exactly. No problem, no problem. We need to address these issues at one time or the other. I'm really
yeah.
learning a lot from you. We have a lot to do together as well. But in your journey, who was your inspiration? I'm sure many will be looking up to you as inspiration, right? So, who was your inspiration on your journey?
Not one. There were several, Aparna. To start with, I think being very aligned to a matriarchal system, I think my grandmothers were my inspiration. Both women, my dad's side and my mom's side, they're very hardworking women. They made decisions at home. They took care of finances in spite of men being around. So, in an extremely stark, differences is my dad's mom was in the agricultural field, and she would go all do everything which is required in the agricultural, right from cattle, sheep rearing, everything. And my maternal grandmother was typically a widow, a child widow, stayed with her parents. So she has managed. She was an administrator of the house, I would say. And there's so many families which came out from that, her families, that everybody remembers has somebody who had senses and she spoke, she make decisions wisely. So these are the two women I look up to. Of course, my mom, very learned. She worked as a librarian, and she has shown me what a book can do.
Right, I can totally agree with you because I was also a librarian. My
So,
career as a librarian, and I really love books. And these are like amazing learnings when you grow up with leaders, right? As you mentioned about your grandmother. Yeah, I'm really feeling proud that we were living with such strong women. I
oh
remember.
yeah, I think somewhere that shaped me what I am today.
Right. And what do you think, according to you, are the three traits of great leaders which women should learn on their way towards leadership journey, their leadership journey?
Yeah, I would say there's no end for learning. You have to be a continuous seeker, learner, and be contemporary, be present. Today, what is happening around us, we have to be present to it. We can still talk about past, we can take lessons from there, but being present is very important. And being compassionate about others. Somewhere we are losing touch with that. Being kind, compassionate. And somewhere I see in the leadership books also, they say if you are not showing that femininity, being kind, compassionate, I mean, even men can be kind and compassionate. But still, you attribute that to feminine energies. And that's what is required in today's world. The workplace is going through a huge transformation. We are working from home, and working from home has so many other issues to deal with. Women are still learning. They're not able to voice out. Working from home is also a kind of keeping them uh, in an environment where probably they wanted to escape from. I mean, the kind of domestic violence cases have gone up during COVID. I was working with an agency as a volunteer, and I've seen very, very silently people are bearing it.
Right. I have been, I remembered just they called like shadow pandemic, right? I was reading
Yes.
in the UN website. So I think most of the people are not aware of that also. So how can we communicate to the people, or how can we create awareness, more awareness about this problem? Because I am sure by the time pandemic is over, by next year, a lot of social issues are coming in cases.
Yeah, mental health, yes. See, in India, it is still a taboo to talk anything to do with, something which your mind is having an issue, or anything to do with thinking. You immediately categorize people as normal, not normal. Somebody who is silent for some days is labeled as depressed, and somebody who is having a bout of emotion is looked at as. So you label them, and you think that label is end of all. No, actually, that label is making them much worse. We don't know how to deal with others going through a certain phase of life. Maybe we need to learn how to deal with those. I've seen a lot of Mahatmas coming out of this pandemic. Everybody wants to be savior of others. And very unfortunately, social media is highlighting them. And people are going for some support, but then they get exploited. So today we have to learn how to read a person, how to, what you call, where if you're going for support for to somebody, you should first do some screening. Even psychologists, psychiatrists, psychological counselors, even they go through. They are also humans. How many of them go for a refresher? How many of them work on themselves? So that's very important.
And how much important it is communicating to others. I think
Very important. We need to write more. We need to talk more. We need to have more open programs, because just not many of them would be reading it. Reading has become a passe. Only some people are reading these days. So we need to have more kind of interactive programs. Openly talk about issues. Okay, the pandemic has brought a huge mental health issues. So we need to talk about mental health issues, not to label anybody. Everybody has a learning pattern. So we need to acknowledge that learning, but nobody is slow, nobody is fast. It is their learning pattern. Some people learn through experience, some people by seeing. So it's very, very important for us to acknowledge that and also be supportive. Nobody wants sympathy here. You just need supportive hand, being there. Just being there also sometime. Now we are working in the community. Any domestic violence case, we just give 3 hours or 4 hours time if they want to vent out. No judgment, no solutions. Lot of people will after speaking feel lighter, and then they say, okay, somebody has listened to us. Some for some problems you don't have instant solutions. So what I'm trying to say is mental health is very, very important. Now we are seeing that happening. Now the second wave of things which will happen is when people come back to work in their office spaces. That is another bigger thing for the employer to handle. I'm sure the HR folk who are sitting in this session probably would understand what I'm saying. And a lot of
so.
unemployment because of pandemic. So that is another area. These are all social issues.
Yes, I think we have a lot of social issues to handle by the time this pandemic gets over. Gets over someday. And what do you think the actions men or women can take to bring in more number of women leaders, or to for more inclusivity to happen in businesses or government sectors? Or
Yeah, I think we need to have a good dialogue with people, speaking up. Addressing certain issues in a different way, not in the style that we used to address earlier, because now the millennials and the new generation of people, their listening skills or their comprehension is much faster. So you can't have a different kind of solutioning is required here. I would say that it's not so grim that we are talking about all these things. There's a better side of also. I would say every woman should have an alternative career or a path. If this doesn't work, something else should work. People should look for not just job but also entrepreneurship. So always people have to be learning and then doing something meaningful for them. There's no big or small jobs.
Yes, I think I have a lot to ask you. I have learned a lot from you. A lot of questions left, but the time is getting over.
I know.
I think we should catch up
So
more.
on the leadership part, I always like the servant leadership concept. It's always good. It gives a different insight when you look at from that ideology. So my passing comments would be read about servant leadership. It actually is easy for us to do that, and it is required now.
Yes, that is really, I just missed off that point. I saw that your communication style with your team is servant leadership. So, if you could explain a little more about what is servant leadership, our audience could have better picture.
Yeah, so one is we have to serve. My job, for example, I have a varied kind of a profile. So in the current job, when I'm working, I'm dealing with young women. Just they came out of their teens and then they are residential. They are sitting in a college. There's so much of ideas coming out of them. Okay, I can't use any other leadership style here. I have to be a nurturer. At the same time, I should not become like a mother figure and taking, all their problems on me. I have to involve them and see that they solve their problems. I mean, that's what the social work principle is. You don't fish for them, but you should teach them how to fish. So it needs lot of patience. What I'm not seeing in most of the leaders these days is that patience is not there. They want everything quick. It's like Q on Q, Y on Y. You need to, keep comparing yourself. I'd say go individual to individual. Everybody is different, unique. We all learned it. But when we come to work, we want to see them as one structure, one kind of, bands, levels, and all. We put them into cubby holes and we treat them like that, not as individuals. So, servant leadership is something which is looking at what best we can do to serve them. And again, I'm talking about in the corporate, it is employee experience. Look at that. Right from, hiring time. What is the employee experience? What is the candidate experience? What are they experiencing in their first 2 months, 3 months? What is your culture telling them? What are the conversations happening around them? These are the steps to build your communication plans. These are the steps to build your decision making. These are the steps to build your top down, bottom up communications. It should be aligned to what is happening. If there's something which is an aberration, then it could be only one or two aberrations. It can't be generalized. Take them aside, have a one on one with them. I mean, there's a lot to learn. Patience is one which we need to have, nurturing kind of an orientation, and then allow them. Even if they fail, it's okay. So servant leadership is having a huge concept. If somebody goes through the Google, they'll get a lot of definitions and all. But what I learned is have patience, be there, see the experience, empathy. We talk about empathy, emotional intelligence. See, again, we label them. Instead, you feel, you experience, and then give it to them. The best, the positive, the motivational, the inspiring. These are the things people should feel around in the organization. It could be any organization. It could be a commercial business or NGO or school, college, anywhere.
Right. That is really amazing talking to you. I think we are coming to the end. And my last two questions would be First one, how do you feel being in the list of GCPIT's 100 global women leaders?
I feel very good. Thanks for somebody referring. I think Pravina and a couple of others were talking to me about this. One thing, Aparna, I always had, a lot of women around me, um, and they make me feel very happy the way they are doing. I take a lot from them. My inspiration also comes from all ages, men and women together, but then mostly women these days. So I thank this organization for recognizing. I'm not a public person. I'm not someone who looks for awards or anything, but somehow I landed here. I'm happy about it.
No,
Thank you.
they truly deserve it. After talking to you, I really understand and
Thank you.
journey you have gone through. And we are celebrating the Global Women in Trade Summit 2021 on March 5th, 6th, and 7th, where women
Okay.
has come together and they will be connecting to explore the next level of growth. And on March 8th, on International Women's Day,
Yeah.
100 amazing women will receive the Global Women in Business Awards 2021. What message
Okay.
would you like to give for this Global Women in Trade Summit 2021?
Okay. As the UN theme this time is thinking about future in COVID times, no. My message is that let's be tolerant to each other. Be patient with somebody who is slow and picking up. Be considerate to your vendors, suppliers. They have also gone through a lot of issues during the COVID times. And just spread the word that, your compassion will take care of these things. We need these things now.
So, congratulations once again, Miss.
Thank you.
It was great to have you with us today, and I really enjoyed the conversation with you. There are a lot of things to explore, a lot of things to collaborate, I think, and
Thank you, Aparna.
you all the best for all your future projects as well.
Thank you. I'm sorry I kept you all waiting. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, dear audience, for being with us till now. Uh, we will be back tomorrow and with another global woman leader. Thank you so much. And if you think you are an elite performer and looking for exponential leadership, join us. You can get all the information at gcpit.org. This is Aparna Ji Kumar signing off. Good night and stay safe.
Thank you.